everyone's going to start to doubt, like, will Bitcoin survive? Can it survive? That's when you actually, as an investor, need to start thinking about really buying into it.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have Bitcoin analyst Gareth Soloway on the next phase of Bitcoin and the crypto market. Soloway says that since the last Federal Reserve meeting, their attitude has been more peaceful, which has created a huge move up within the tech sector. Because non-farm salaries have recently come out with 500,000 new jobs available, markets have been panicking. The markets believe the Fed was finished raising, so they were anticipating a weaker jobs report to prove the Fed was truly out of commission. Soloway believes that the job counts are actually idling, which means increased weakness in the coming months. Let's listen to this interview with Gareth Soloway as he gives his prediction on Bitcoin's next move and where the economy is headed this year. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content we do here on this channel. Let's get right into the video.
So, I mean, per the last Federal Reserve meeting a few weeks ago, we basically had a little bit more of a dovish Federal Reserve tone, right? So they raised the 75 basis points, which is what the market expected. But in the conference, it was a little bit more dovish. That created this massive move up in the tech sector. We saw stocks and the S&P just rip higher, right? Now, interestingly enough, we got the jobs report this morning, right? So the non-farm payrolls came out. It came out over 500,000 new jobs. And that kind of made the markets freak out a little bit because I think the markets had thought the Federal Reserve was almost done raising, if not done, and expected a weaker jobs report to kind of confirm that they were on the sidelines. With this better than expected jobs report, I think it puts September in play for at least 25 basis points, maybe 50 basis points. And that has the market again a little bit uneasy that the Fed is just going to keep tightening monetary supply. Now, for me personally, I think that the jobs numbers are lagging. So I think that, again, you're going to see more and more weakness coming in the coming months. So maybe the Fed raises in September a little bit, but I really do believe that's it. I think that'll be all that there will be, because I do think we'll be in a defined recession. I mean, even now with the GDP numbers, you could say, yeah, we're in a recession, but the jobs numbers kind of go against that. But I do think by end of year, there's no doubt about whether or not it's a recession.
Soloway says that since the opening pierce of the 2017 highs, he has seen Bitcoin's price increase, then decrease, and finally go sideways. Soloway believes that in the short term, we will keep seeing this type of action. Soloway says later this year, when everything comes to a head, there will be a giant risk reduction, which will cause Bitcoin to drop because the market will become a risk-off environment.
But basically what you've had is ever since we pierced that initial pierce of the 2017 highs here, we've seen Bitcoin kind of go up a little bit, come down, up, down, and basically going sideways to slightly higher. So I'm inclined to think that in the near term, we continue to see that price action. I kind of expect one more move up here, maybe in the Bitcoin chart, hitting 25,500. There's a small chance we could get up to resistance at 28 and change. But ultimately, I think that later this year, when that shoe drops, that the Fed can't save the day and it causes a big risk reduction, right? You have a risk-off environment. We know that Bitcoin goes down in a risk-off environment. Once the stock market investors realize that, it's going to filter through to crypto. And I do think there's still one more leg lower before we finally get a bottom. And I'm still pricing in really a target price of around $13,000 to $12,000 on that next flush. Again, the easy way for us to tell is to look at this channel, right? So see this upsloping, the bottom line, that's kind of keeping price in check. As long as price stays in here, I think you favor neutral to upside, maybe here or here. But if you break this line, this is a definitive trend line connecting all these lows, that's where I think you start to flush. You'll probably get a small bounce at the previous 2017 high and then eventually break through that. So I think, again, yeah, short-term neutral to positive on Bitcoin from here. And then again, later this year, you got to expect one more flush out. And it probably will be the nastiest and the worst in terms of fear, because always the end of cycles are the scariest, right? Where things, imagine seeing Bitcoin at 12 or 10,000, everyone's going to start to doubt, like, will Bitcoin survive? Can it survive? that's when you actually, as an investor, need to start thinking about really buying into it. I think the narrative right now is, and what's interesting for me is that you can see the kind of the angle on Bitcoin's been very sideways to slightly up. It's not been vertical bouncing. And I think part of that, and what's interesting is if you look at the NASDAQ's really ripped up, and those usually coincide. So a lot of people have been saying, well, why hasn't Bitcoin had a big move up like the NASDAQ instead of just going slightly up sideways? And I think the answer there is that, with Celsius and Voyager and all these other ones, you have a lot of money that's just scared. Like, who wants to put their money in with these brokers and be in crypto when who knows what the next shoe to drop is, which broker is going to go under, which one's going to file for bankruptcy. So I think that's kind of keeping a lid on the upside price in Bitcoin as well. But I think later this year, that narrative is going to shift to that panic sell-off. And I do think the final flush out will be something major. I don't know if it's Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy's finally throwing in the towel and dumping their Bitcoin at like 10,000. Maybe we see a bigger broker go bankrupt. I mean, all these possibilities are there, but I do think more is going to happen before you get an ultimate bottom. If past cycles are any indication, and we can go to the 2017 cycle here. So what's interesting about the 2017 cycle is you kind of had this period where we had the big dump out, and then you had this lots of chop for a while, which could be what we're doing right now. I'm not sure, but that would make sense if it were to go till like October, November. And then you had this final flush out. And then notice how it took a while for it to kind of digest before finally starting to make that next move up. So again, if you look at this final flush, it kind of bottomed out in December of 2018. And then the next move up, you could arguably say, kind of started in April. So my guess is you have about 6 months of chop around the lows where you have people that are saying, this is the worst. And then you have people that are nibbling, maybe smart money starting to buy down there. And you get that kind of exchange where neither side is winning. They're just exchanging shares from people that are fearful with people that are buyers and saying, okay, this is the right time to accumulate. So my guess is, yeah, you'll see usually bottoms, you'll see a lot of chop as the bottom is made.
Soloway says Bitcoin's status is ranging from neutral to positive, but we also need to prepare for another flush that will be the worst one yet. Bitcoin and NASDAQ usually run on the same trajectory, but right now they aren't. This is causing people to distrust their brokers and to not invest in any cryptocurrency. If something enormous happened, like Michael Saylor dropping all of his Bitcoin, this would cause everyone to dump what they have, which would destroy Bitcoin's value. Soloway has noticed that in 2017's cycle, there was a large dump out, which is similar to what's happening in today's market. What do you guys think of Gareth Soloway's prediction for the crypto market? Let us know in the comments below. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Library of Wealth. We'll see you in the next video.